All right. Let's call the Personnel Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order. All are present that need to be here. Thank you very much. Good to see Andy. You had a chance to look over the minutes. You weren't here. But were you at the meeting? Were you at the last finance meeting? I think you
Yes.
were. So
Yes,
you could probably follow along the minutes.
yes.
Do you have any questions or concerns?
Nope.
Anybody else, questions, concerns, any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? We're good. Moving on to the auditor's update.
2025 books are closed. Overall for December, we received $1,393,461.27. For December, the expenses were $2,397,315.23. Overall for the year, we received $23,821,696.43. Expenses for the year were $21,455,276.89.
So there was a report here, the month to date, year to date. Have you got a chance to look at that? Okay. I have a question for you, Ms. Auditor. And it has to do with your reconciliation report. First of all, what is the London Revolving Loan Fund? It's got like $50,000 in it.
That is the one that is the recaptured home fund.
Okay.
What's that called?
The London Revolving Loan Fund.
In the account, yeah.
You said it was recaptured home fund?
I believe that's what's been in there. We've only gotten interest in that account for years and years.
What would a recaptured home be?
The CHIP program.
Which we haven't had that funded for a long time. Through us, right? The county.
Pay back to us. They're trying to what sell their.
So it just strikes me that in a month's time, we only gain $10.77 interest, right? And the math doesn't work with what they have listed here, right? I'm thinking, well, if we do that math, it should be more than this. I'm just trying to compute that myself to only go up $11 roughly.
And can send Huntington an email and see what.
Oh, I'm just curious because that's one thing that I've looked at it a couple different times and I've always wondered why that was so low. So I'm just curious. Okay, anybody else have questions for Kenna right now on the reports? Wow. Can you explain the difference, Kenna, the difference in the general fund starting number this year compared to last year, since it's up like $280,000?
Well, as you can see, our encumbrances are way down. That's a result of auditors suggesting no carryover POs. So we have much less encumbered going into the next year. And what's newly spent, I mean, there's obviously, but big things spent out of that. We did $464,000 transfer to the police project, as well as transferring the loan money to pay for the police project. Those are two large new expenses out of the general fund.
But we're still up by, almost $280,000 comparatively speaking.
$600,000 less encumbered.
True. So Tommy, for your benefit, maybe for Lisa, money that was left in the funds at the end of the year, those have to go somewhere and they come back here. Correct? I mean, if there was money, like we had money in the professional fund to pay for the attorneys, there was still 68,000 or something like that. So that money's no longer encumbered. It has to go somewhere. It goes back into this fund, right? That fund. But it was showed as money was encumbered, but now it's no longer encumbered. So it comes back in that sense. I know you should have lots of questions. You've asked me questions. Do you have anything you want to ask today?
Not,
Okay.
not yet.
We'll make your questions and send them to Kenneth if you can address those as we move forward. All right. Thank you, Kenneth. Department heads. Amy, you're here.
He's here, great, thank you. Do you want to go over the days I've missed with everyone or the reasons or?
No.
Okay, so in December, we brought in $352,599.80. We were down 52% for the month. The reason being, we had brought in a large net profit last year in December, which we will not get. It was like a one-time thing. So it's kind of throwing our numbers off. For fire, we brought in $176,299.90. For fire, we're down 52%, same reason. For the year, the general fund, we're down 1.41%. And for fire, we're down less than 1%. I did do some numbers with the net profit not in there. So if we wouldn't have received that last year, we would have been up 2.98% for general for the year, and then 4.34% for fire for the year.
What was a large net profit?
Who was it from?
Yeah.
I don't think we're allowed to disclose who
Was it?
the business was. It's someone, it came through the gateway. The amount is $674,971. It is a business that's not located in London, but they have business in London. But it was like a one-time thing. Like we did get their return. They did claim all of that. But we got a new return for 24, and the net profit they claimed for us that year was $5,000. So there was a huge difference.
Sorry, so we got a large net profit for us, but we're still down 50%. I didn't get your report, so
We got it.
Trying to-
So we got to 374,000 in tax year 24 in December.
got it.
Yeah, that's why our 25 December is off. So
You could have it. Mine's highlighted. I printed mine out.
Wasn't it?
Okay.
All right, from 24, not revenue. Got it.
Any questions for the tax director? Thank you, Amy. Department heads, Raquel, you're a department head, so to speak. Do you have anything you want to add? Jenna?
I forgot to put police donation funds on the agenda, so if we could add that later, that'd be fantastic. I think it was a squirrel moment.
Steve, you're in the back. Okay. Moving on, the item we've left in old business, elected officials, salaries. I don't have anything new per se. I did, the OML, Ohio Municipal League, does a salary review also. And I've requested some information from them also. So I have that. I just haven't waded through it yet. I actually asked for data for cities similar to our size, not just everyone.
That's what I,
Right, but you got that from Morpsey, right?
I provided spreadsheets from 10-ish entities of like our size or closest in size to us.
Okay.
I provided, I had gotten a public records request from Circleville. I also used all of their
Mm.
entities that they did research on, because I thought maybe there's something I'm missing, or, you know, I was inquisitive on the information they were provided, and you guys also have had that.
Okay, thank you.
And
Questions?
do you guys have any questions in regards to the email from Christine that I had forwarded on after some questions have come up prior to finance last month?
I'm not sure.
I had asked, it has been brought up if there can be evaluations on elected officials, or how can we hold them accountable? We don't have job descriptions, so I had asked our HR specialist if she was aware of other entities, and the same thing, we're elected officials, there's no job descriptions. No, they don't have evaluations done, they're elected by the people. She essentially, in my opinion, validated everything that has been shared with you guys previously. She said it's practically pretty much done off of comps comparisons and salaries.
I did read that. Thank you.
You're
Further questions about that? Yeah. Okay. Moving on, new business. Let's start with police donations because I just put that at the top of my list.
At the end of the year, and after there were a couple of things still encumbered for the police department for his donation line, but after all said and done, I am requesting that you guys approve to increase appropriations $5,540.64. It's his unspent donation money from last year, so he would like to be able to spend it this year. It's something that can't be put in the budget because he spends it through the very end of the year. So we like to make sure it's an accurate dollar figure, without assuming he's done spending or the dollar figure.
Questions?
Increase appropriations to any specific fund?
It would be out of general fund into police's donation.
To his donation lines, yeah.
We do this pretty much every year. I don't know if you guys recall.
We do it every year.
Much annually, no surprises.
Nope.
I'll make a motion to increase appropriations in $5,540.64.
Correct.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Shannon, do you want to sponsor?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. Yes.
Next, cash flow transfers.
Like, we're already in the new. Cash flow transfers, great.
Yes, we have a list of cash flow transfers that she sent over. You seen that?
Yes,
Okay.
I didn't print it. I did see it.
This is also done annually. There's an addition at the bottom that's to pay the police build loan. And then I believe I increased the fire pension transfer. It was all incorporated into the budget that you guys recently approved.
The fire pensions, that was said.
All of the other figures remain the same. The mowing charges, I think I did increase $3,000 because we had substantial mowing charges this year, so I increased that for if we were to get.
Right. If we get reimbursed anything, that just goes back in general fund, correct?
Did we do an expense reduction? No, because it's different years. If it's like, mhm. Yeah, it just goes in miscellaneous, right?
Okay. So beyond that, that's the only, or beyond that, there's nothing else. That is really the only increase other than adding the line for the police department debt. Questions about it? You understand what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay, making sure, since you're new. Okay, well, hey, I'll make the motion that we'll take this to council so we can increase the appropriations on the cash flow transfer. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Accept the motion or accept your vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? None. I'll sponsor it.
I believe this one's always an emergency. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Or has been for many years.
You believe it's an emergency?
I believe so.
Well, we can put the emergency language on it, but that doesn't mean we have to pass it on the first vote, right? Just means it goes into effect once we pass it. All right. Next, I see fire reappropriate training funds, $10,750.
For the fire contract, if they don't spend all of the funds for training, they can spend it on equipment. Collectively, each employee, their balance left at the end of the year, they sign off on to allow for expenditure for equipment. And so with new auditor guidelines, we can't carry over blanket purchase orders. And so we'll start to see this annually as well. At the end of last year, there's $10,750.23 left that they would like to have that appropriate to spend for equipment this year.
Any further questions?
Yeah, so this is by contract that this appropriated funds could be spent either on training or general equipment, or is it equipment specific to
Just
training
as
equipment?
equipment, it doesn't specify anything else.
But if it's not used on training, then it can't really be
It has to be
used for any other purpose.
equipment.
Right.
Yeah, per the contract section 25.8, any unused sums of training pay as provided in this article has not been requested to be used by a bargaining unit employee by the annual requisition date set by the city may be utilized to purchase equipment for use by the employees of the fire department.
Used by employees, that's more.
So that could be workout equipment.
I've done travel.
For
in the
use by-
past.
Okay. Which is why this is here, but the unused funds for the police department's not, because it's by contract. Because they had quite a large sum. 15 grand.
Rewrite.
All right.
Make a motion to reappropriate the training funds to. Is it the same, does it have to move, or is it just?
Yeah, because it's not gonna be spent on training this year, so my recommendation would be the miscellaneous line, so they can spend it on.
Reappropriate
equipment as they see
to
fit.
fire miscellaneous,
Correct.
so moved.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Further discussion, any questions from the audience? People sitting at the table, the people not sitting at the table? Nope. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Nope. Shannon sponsoring. You need to sponsor something. Oh, I think you're gonna be next. Next, we have fire appropriate 2025 unspent donations.
This is the same scenario as the police department at the end of 2025. Todd had $11,500 that was unspent. He did get $500 this year. We figured I'd just include it in this. And then there was it 1,000 we got at the very end of last year that we didn't get? No.
Fire donation.
No questions?
No questions? How about a motion?
I move to appropriate 2025 unspent donation funds of $11,500. That is fire.
Correct.
I'll second that. Is there any further questions about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. You gonna sponsor?
Sure.
All right, we have a sponsor. Moving right along. Tree commission taxes.
If you guys recall, last year, the county had discovered they hadn't been billing the city for taxes for trees. And I neglected to put it into the budget for this year.
You elected to put it in the budget?
Neglected.
Oh, you neglected.
It was a line we hadn't had in the budget ever, and so it got missed on my part. I already added it in my spreadsheet for next year, though, so it won't have to be.
Oh, okay.
I was like, shoot.
The
But-
bill wasn't quite 5,000, was it?
It wasn't, but I'm not sure that we've gotten.
She said.
Well, last year it was more because they hadn't done it for so long, so we owed more, but this year our recent invoice is to 2,500.
And we're talking about the property tax the city pays for the tree assessment line had somehow gotten missed, or is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's
I assume it was some like a finding in an audit that they hadn't been billing us for or whatnot,
Me.
so.
Or, so Kenna screwed up.
Yes.
All right.
I own it though.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. I was like, dang it. And then I went into my spreadsheet and I was like, I don't even have that line on here because it wasn't there.
So we need we don't have anything to do with creating the line. You just need to appropriate the funds to pay it, right? All right, so we need a motion to appropriate $5,000 for the tree commission tax line item, I guess.
I'll second.
Any further questions for anybody else? Tommy, do you understand what we're doing?
No,
Not quite.
The area for where they are.
no, there's an assessment on your property tax bill for a tree commission, and our property tax bill apparently didn't have that line item for some reason, which we don't have anything to do with that, but.
Yeah, we just hadn't been invoiced for lots of years and they discovered it last year and then I neglected to incorporate it into the budget. So sorry.
It's
I'll
kind
do
of,
better.
it's kind of confusing.
I was like, please send me adding this in right now so I don't forget.
Kind of confusing our piece of legislation that allows for that to be taxed, that we have to tax ourselves. Any further discussion? We'll call the question. All in favor
Aye.
and opposed? I'm an aye also, sorry. It's 3-0, it moves on. Who wants to sponsor this one? Okay,
Minutes
in the minutes, it must happen.
must happen.
Police building updates, that's next on this list.
So, police building is moving along, under roof, although not complete, but probably by next week, got the awning on the back done. Which means we're getting close to being encapsulated, that hopefully means there'll be no additional charges. So I know I talked to you at the last meeting with the potential of additional monies for contingency. So we're down to $4,000, just over 4,000. And our contingency, there's still money on the construction side. At our meeting Monday, I asked specifically if they anticipate any additional. So I think after our last meeting, or prior to last meeting, we talked, there's some additional funds that come up for cold weather. So far, all that's taken care of. We're good. I mainly want to bring it forth of, even though there's nothing anticipated, there's always that chance something would happen. We'll be working the inside, so if there's an owner change order request, like move an outlet or something, we won't do that. But there could be things that got missed, omissions from the original plan. So there's always that possibility come back. Right now, I'm not going to ask for any additional money, but I did put it on the plate that, we're down that short amount. We actually were over. We had the gate. We let that gate on, even though we eliminated the fence just to keep people coming back. When the additional charges on that, the cold weather stuff come up, I eliminated those by eliminating the gate. But the gate didn't take that fence in the future. So we are now at Mayor, June 15th completed. Things are looking good. Walked through it yesterday. Like I'd say, roofs up. They got wood on there. They should start to place the roof next week. They did start putting some of the brick on, so you'll probably start seeing some quick changes in the big one side.
Laying the concrete roof yesterday.
Sorry?
Concrete roof yesterday. Cells.
Well, the
Cells.
so starting to come.
The trusses are out.
Concrete?
Driven by.
What's the rest of the roof gonna be?
So it's a flat roof. They got the wood down. There'll be with the cellular stuff. So the insulation part, and then there's a membrane that's fixed over it, which is the waterproofing. So that was something else that had to change. We actually got a credit because normally they glue it down. You can't glue it down. So they go back cheaper than the east thing. Warranty's the same one. So probably by the end of January that.
And the June 15 date, that's moved back, or is it just pretty much stayed the same?
It's about the same. We were always shooting for May or June is what we were shooting for. So maybe 2 weeks behind maybe, but right there where we thought.
That doesn't mean the day necessarily we're gonna open the door. That should be the day they turn it over to us and start preparing to move in stuff.
Continue to meet every Monday.
Any questions about that? We haven't had an update for a month or so. Rich?
They're good. They're good. I'm happy this moving along as good as it is with the weather we've had this year. We're supposed to get another big snow come through this week, I think. The end of the-
It mess up there all kind.
Yeah. I think we're doing great on it.
John, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just happy to see the building. I didn't know they had a concrete roof, which surprised me.
Can't let the bad guys cut the top of their roof. Gate.
That's what the
It'll
detention.
be the first
Yeah,
one
the
to try out.
detention,
This one right here. It'll be the first
If
one
it don't
to
wait,
try
it might
out,
not go
right?
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice piece of land.
Uh-huh.
Did you get what you need for that?
Yeah, Steve, you said there were still some contingency funds available on the construction side.
Yeah, so, and I can't give the exact number, there's 2 or 3 things pending. So the original construction was set at construction, which has been held for control. The things they miss or have to do, they.
Yeah.
Flexibility, ours and the money from design. If you recall, we moved design money over to us, so I didn't have to get their permission to
Right.
do it, use that up.
So this,
So,
the design fund down to 4K, construction still has.
yes, so the owner's contingency, ours is, I don't have an exact number, they were working on that, but I didn't get the spreadsheet yet. So we've probably got about 80 to 90,000 on the construction side, which is not looking bad considering where we're at, so. I think the official number right now is showing 118, but there's a few things that are pending on it, so.
Okay, any other questions for Steve about that? Sue, I apologize. I skipped over you earlier. Do you have anything you'd like to add going back to the department head updates?
This year's going pretty good.
No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to skip over you before. I just realized, I'm not used to seeing recount. I realized I didn't ask Sue.
I took credit.
All right. So on my agenda, added to this agenda is whether or not we want to take the advisory question and put it on the ballot, whether or not the city should either A, it depends on how we want to word it, either A, should the city continue on with our service and by doing so we'd have to charge a fee, or B, should we consider privatizing this? And it's an advisory question, so I didn't expect to see Raquel tonight, but I'm glad she's here so she can explain that a little further right now.
So an advisory election can go on the ballot, and they labeled it advisory election. It's non-binding. A question that can go on the ballot for the citizens to answer, non-binding, so it doesn't have to be followed, but it does cost money to put it on the ballot, as well as we have to, pass legislation and have that ballot language approved by Board of Elections, and we would have to know what that ballot language is. I've drafted something today after talking to Greg Friday and then again today. And so we've discussed it, and he wanted to have it prepared just in case that's. Board of Elections can only give me an estimate, but the estimate they give me is $10,000.
And I don't know,
Yeah. Why would that be so high?
The way it was explained to me is that there's different fees based on even and odd years and the election cycle. And again, they can't give exact numbers, but that's what they can estimate this would be for the cost of the ballots themselves and the advertisement of it. And when there's multiple issues on a ballot, the costs kind of get dispersed among those. This would be there's no other issues submitted at this time. So this would be the only one. So it's not like it would be splitting costs with another municipality or entity submitting an issue.
We're talking about the primary, right?
Yes.
And so only issues have to pay, people that are in the primary election for representative seats don't have to have a cost sharing in that?
It doesn't sound like, I don't know. It's just the number that they can give me.
I don't know for a fact, but like, we've never had to pay
Right.
money, so I think it is just.
The issues.
So if this is a state issue, does it get split statewide? Would it be? Curious. Huh.
So if you do a special election that there's nothing else on, you pay the entire.
exactly, right? So we've tried to put things on the ballot in the past, and I know that there was discussion that there could be a cost, but I don't remember what those costs ever were. We didn't have to pay when we put it on the ballot to raise the income tax.
That's not an issue though, is it? I think issue is a different.
It is
animal.
different, but I don't
Yeah.
recall that we've paid the Board of Elections at anything since I. Do you recall?
In speaking with them, I think that there was something in 2022 and it was discovered that it wasn't invoiced to the city. So
Crap.
this
This is your fault.
So I think,
So when
I
we
think
come
that
forward,
was
because I
their,
have to pay the Board of
I think it was their
Elections.
realization that like, we kind of got something for free. So
Okay.
in 2022, because I had asked them to look at things from that year, because that's would be comparable 4 years ago. And that's when they discovered that different staffing they had there at that time. Also, there were some issues and it wasn't invoiced.
That wasn't that the first attempt for, not just fire, it was to raise the income tax for fire, the police, and a rec or community center, right? Pretty sure that's what that one was.
Do you have any idea what the turnout might be for the election?
The last one was.
Less than 1,500, a little less than 1,500 for a comparable election.
Total of like people that voted?
Yeah, less than 1,500.
Was that just a year ago
No,
It
4 years
was
ago.
the
or was,
Memorial primary.
okay. Right, because that's a fair
Mhm.
comparison. So again, an advisory question doesn't have to be followed by council. Raquel asked me last week if I would personally want to follow what that is. And you know, I haven't made up my mind one way or the other. I personally, if it was the vote said to keep our service, then let's work on that. If the vote became no, let's privatize, then let's work on that. That gives us an idea where we want to go with that,
But
right?
it's only at best 1,500 people expressing an opinion.
And I think that's something that Greg and I have been discussing on the phone as well. If kind of, I've kind of brought up exploring if there's another option other than this to get public opinion.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Can I have a comment?
Please.
Early on, you
Please.
asked me my opinion about keeping sanitation, a couple times you've asked, so at this point, I've talked to a few people and I have my own opinion about a couple things, so.
Okay.
Number one, that is a perfect example, 1,500 or less than 1,500 people voted, that gives you a representation about 1/6 of the people in London, about 1/4 the elected, of the people that registered to vote. What are we looking to get from that? That is less than 1/4. Is it really worth spending $10,000 or even $5,000 for that? So my question is to justify that is you've had 3 public hearings, tomorrow will be the 4th, and we've had maybe 4 people other than employees speak. So that is their public forum to speak. And I'm not saying they don't have others, and I'm not even opposed to looking other ways. I do think spending $10,000 to ask public opinion when we're not guaranteed you're gonna get 250 people is not an efficient use of money. My feeling is, you know, we've elected you as our representative. I mean this very respectfully, all of you, don't get me wrong. Not only that, but from my side, we talked about the service committee tonight, is that delay May really pushes me more realistically to June or July is costing. I'm asking as the safety services director we need to move forward. Again, it's your decision. You're gonna make that decision. I think the longer it goes, the number one is the more push on the employees, whether they're gonna do it or not, where we're going. I've got decisions that need to be made that can't be made until we decide. And I said it from the beginning, you're not hurting my feelings one way or the other. If you say we want to go forward with it, I'm all for it. I need to start working with them and start developing plans. So, I think anything to delay that in the future is wasting time moving.
So Shannon emailed me today.
Oh, yeah. I was curious about the conversation that you had with Jim Boyd about whether his proposal was something viable, or is that a before the fact or an after the fact?
So if that's up to me, then it's not happening.
Okay.
So we had that conversation. I was open-minded to it, to consider it before I had an opportunity. I got a call from Nick Rupert from Rumpke that Jim Boyd had called them and started asking questions, implying that he was a representative or an employee in aid for one of the city councils. To me, he was asking questions that in the meetings I had said, we can't, we can ask them for what their cost's gonna be, they're not gonna give them, and pushing that's what it was. I feel it's undermining to what I'm trying to do and build that relationship. I will say angry was not even a edge of the word that I was. And to be honest, until tonight, I wasn't sure I was gonna bring it up tonight because it aggravates me that much. I feel like undermining of what we're trying to do. And if somebody really truly wants to work with us, they wouldn't went behind it. I have an email from Rupert, I'll be glad to share with you. But to me, that's not a path forward. And now I will say, I'm not opposed in the manner of trying to look at making anything. As I told you guys in the very beginning, my idea is what we need is to develop plans of moving forward all city things. But I'm not willing to. I feel like whether that was intent or not, it undermined the authority of the administration.
Okay. Well, it goes back to the point, everybody seems to remember, John will, for sure. I think Pat does. Kim probably does. Sue. Everybody seems to remember that at some point this was on the ballot before. It was a discussion before. No one really knows exactly when that was. I can't remember. I don't remember. I just remember it was an issue. And Raquel's went back and tried to find things back to probably what, 10 or 12 years, well, longer than 12. It was longer than that.
I think Janelle went back to, Janelle and I've been trying to track down potentially, when Greg told me that this has potentially been on the ballot before, I can't track it down. I can't see, because I was trying to find similar language of what was used. I can't find it. That, again, doesn't mean that it wasn't, but
Long time.
but I can't track it down. So I think that's the other thing about, another concern that I have of putting this on the ballot is finding the proper language. And again, it's something that Greg and I discussed earlier today of, I think the language that would have to be used for this, we can't pose it as an either or question on the ballot of, do you want to raise rates and keep sanitation, or do you want to look into privatizing it? We have to choose kind of which option we present as a yes or no, which I think either one we put on, people are going to vote no. So I'm not sure how much of an informed public opinion we're going to have. I don't know how much their answers are going to be on an informed decision, if that makes sense.
I think most citizens would vote for it or have an opinion to pursue the option that's the cheapest.
Exactly.
And a lot of people I've even talked to and throwing
Yeah,
out there,
I think-
their fear is that having some private company do could fluctuate rates, you know,
Yeah,
so high.
absolutely.
It could, but
Yeah.
we're
They
going down a
have-
path
That's
where
the fear.
Yeah, they
Yeah, but
have
the
the
city has to.
introductory rate.
the city has that
Yeah,
same
but the
fear.
city
Like
has
we
to.
have to pay
Okay.
employees and benefits, and
Yeah,
the facility
a
needs major
Okay.
updates, and
Just from.
you know, our capital assets, the trucks need replaced frequently.
Cause you come in, it's like
Yeah,
$60
you're
for 3 months.
Have you guys reached out to any other entities that have decided to privatize and asked why? Like what promoted their decisions to move that way? I mean, is it similar to our situation where, you know, all of the expenses are just,
The question is actually the other way. Why are you keeping it?
and that's what I've
Yeah.
heard a lot of times. And even talking with other entities, they're like, you guys should have done it a long time ago. It's been the best thing.
Yeah.
I think as far as a citizen, if they can wheel that trash can out to their curb and have it picked up, they don't care who's doing it. I know that's unfortunate and I hate to see people lose their jobs, but if I take off my auditor hat as a citizen, if I can
It's
wheel my
cheaper.
trash down to the curb and it be picked up, I personally as a citizen don't care who's doing it or which entity is doing it.
Is there any possibility that the current employees could find other homes within other city areas?
Yes.
Steve, do you want?
Pardon.
Well, so two things. When I talked to Rumpke, I asked him, like, what is the norm for something like that? And he said he can't speak for everybody. What they normally try to do is, because they're taking over something like this, they have to hire new people, equipment, things like that. That they normally would offer those people jobs if, and the only if is if they meet their requirements, they have to be CDL, which all of our people are, unless they've lost it, we don't know, and then they can't work for us. And then they give them a drug test. So all of our people give a drug test up front, and then even if they have any accidents, they're done. I'm confident that all of our people would pass that and meet the requirements. The
My
question,
biggest hang up was like whether we could keep them employed and if
So-
they're gonna give them that
you
extension.
can't guarantee that that's the offer they make. Now, the issue is, what I didn't think to ask him at the time
Mhm.
was the cost. Like, how much are they paying versus us? So again, but that's still an option that if Greg is a driver and he then is offered the job, he has.
It's probably more of a benefits question than a
Yeah,
salary one.
And that is something I can follow up with Nick tomorrow to see what kind of those offers are. I will say, so a couple other things that added or updated. You know, I know there was discussion to probably get a 1 day. It likely would not be a 1 day pickup. It would probably be 4 because of the size of the community, especially with it growing, and otherwise it would cost us more. So we could do it in 1 day, but we're gonna have to pay more because they're gonna have to hire more people to do it. And then they would talk about other things of whether they want to use part of our property. I'm not for using it for a transfer station if it's gonna add more money to us. I don't think that fits our equation. And then the only other part was I did extend the lease, or I guess it's a rental of that other truck for 6 months. They did us a pretty large issue, and what they did was made it a 12-month lease instead of 6 based on the first. So from here on out, we're saving $500 a month. So, a few things, but we're at least with the rental of the truck, we're moving forward with that next. And then they did offer us another 3 months at the same price. So we can go till June on the same price as what we are right now. If that number was up in here.
So
Are we talking about?
So employees, we currently have an acting superintendent, there's a superintendent, we have a foreman, we have 4 drivers, yeah, is that
Yeah.
correct? And then a 5th that we would add, we don't have the 5th driver, we had an employee transfer from street department Monday over to sanitation, he had asked last week, we transferred him, so they had now 4 drivers, a foreman, and the acting superintendent.
So he asked transfer for full time?
Is Bill, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so he would just go to the city.
Just acting, so it's in a position, but no, we haven't hired none. I'm sorry, Greg, what was your question?
But we had someone that wanted to transfer from street over there for a full-time position. Can I ask the question, Steve, whether or not we've reached out, and I know that you had Plain City as an option that you had listed there. Did they switch or was that just a new contract for them?
They continued their contract with who they had.
They already had Rumpke and they got a bid from Rumpke and
Rumpke, it's,
No, it's,
is it Alpha? No.
no, it's no.
It's when they sheet give you out.
yeah,
So in some, they had 2 bids, the one they had before, who they went with this time, and Rumpke did not get the bid. The other one did. They were about $1 a month late, cheaper than Rumpke was. But I think the issue, Plain City had them, they already had a working relationship.
Local waste.
Local,
So they were with local waste. And they put it up to bid, Rumpke bid on it and local waste bid on it. And they decided to stay with local waste.
okay, so
Rumpke's bid was about what we paid.
Wait a minute.
Plain
That, so.
Local waste.
Okay,
There's-
I'll just real fast, I'll tell you what mine is. So, both of them recycling, yes. And then, okay, yard waste, yes. Appliances were like 85 or $100, like probably refrigerators and stuff. They did have a cart rental. So price per resident, Rumpke was $18 without recycling, $21.50 with recycling. And then local waste was $20.75 per resident. And their current price was 19 before they bid it out. So they went up 80 cents per person.
and our rates just went up, correct? By 3%, and we figured that takes it like to 2201, 22.
Raised. I'd have to look, but yes, that's about right.
Greg and I tried to do math earlier today, so I think that's right.
If Bill had bid, yes, that's about right.
But that was baked in from years ago to have that increase. I think this was the last year of it. But I'm not sure.
I think they, yeah.
Well, there was a review period after 5 years that council had to review it. It was 3%, but I think we've got that in there too.
If we did privatize, would the Mid-Ohio continue to provide that billing service for the private? Or does Rumpke do their own billing?
They do their own,
They
don't
do
they?
their own bid.
Yeah.
So that would
So
actually.
we would still have, the stormwater on there. We'd have to determine if we would stick with them bill our own or add it to what I hear somebody else said, I think they could have to property assessment.
Greg used to talk about that. I don't know any full
Yeah.
information. That's
We'd
something
have to
that
still
has to
look
be
into
looked
that
into
about
further.
if we could just assess for it.
So the cost went up this year. Kim, you may remember more, but so, we paid, there's 2 or 3 billing fees. We paid half of the billing from them, and then we paid part of a part-time employee that we pay. So that would stay the same whether we had them or not, I assume. So that'd be our decision whether we want to stay with them, do our own billing, or again, if we can look at the assessment, which we're not gonna do anything else realistically. If we do the assessment, that probably makes more sense, like to assess it. I'm assuming you use the taxes, correct?
That's what Rex said.
Rex
Yes.
told us, yes.
We just have to look.
What we were looking.
Okay, well, I do think, I think we all look at the social media some, we all talk to people some. I think there's a bit of a distrust from people that council does what it wants to do without paying attention to what the people want. That's one of the motivations also for this. Personally, the $10,000, I don't know that should scare us. It's basically $1 a person. Yes, we're not going to get the turnout, but if we're going to make that decision and push forward for this, we want to do it now. I don't think you would want to do it on a special election. You know, we would pay for all of that. And I don't think anybody wants to wait until November to make the decision. So that was another reason why I thought that we should at least look at that and see what the people want and help us decide which way to move forward on that. So that was one of the reasons why. So I will formally make a motion that we put this advisory question on the ballot for the May primary.
$8. We're gonna be well over what our neighboring entity for the same service. Is that out there on social media for citizens to see? Or I don't know what's being shared on social media, deciding to privatize or not. Like, do citizens need the black and white of, we have to raise rates at least $8 to $10 to keep services here?
It's gonna be realized.
And so, but are the citizens
yeah,
willing to say,
it's
yes, we want
mentioned that.
sanitation services here, but do they understand that our
Make
neighboring, if
cheaper.
we can get a quote like Plain City, and yes, if, because we don't know, but it would, our rates would stay exactly what they are right now, or in that same ballpark area. Versus $8 to $10 a month is not a lot of money, but when you're talking essentially the same service.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, a percentage of what we're paying, that's 50% higher, 30%, 30 to
About
50% higher.
30 to 35, yeah.
Which is a huge jump if it's a, you know, using that kind of.
And that's why I'm just not sure if it's out there in that aspect, rather than should we privatize or should we keep our services in-house? Is it being shared, the dollar figures? Because when I talk to people, when I talk to people, they're like, whatever's cheapest, I don't care. And so it's like, you know, do they understand the whole?
They do not.
Okay, so
Maybe not, but there's like,
no, Facebook should not be the end all be all.
loud people. Negative loud people get their voice across more than people who are, you know.
I guess I would ask the question, all 7 council members are here. Have you guys been reached out to lots of this issue, one way or the other? Has people been reaching out to you?
I've had a
Two
few.
people tell me, one person told me that we should put it on the ballot. The other person told me we should decide it. That's why we're elected. That's my 2 things I've heard.
But do they know the difference in the cost?
Yeah.
Well, as we talked before, no, if it goes on the ballot, we can't just put that on the ballot and not share information, right? You're going to have some type of a town hall. You're going to have the pros and the cons if you privatize, and the pros and the cons if you keep it, right? And at least give people that information so that when they go and they cast their vote on which they would prefer, which is still not binding, at least that information has to be out there for those people to see. Right. And we've talked, and I don't think we can just throw it on there and not do something like that. I think we would owe it to the people, if you're going to put it on the ballot, to at least be able to share some of that information in multiple ways. A town hall is a good way to start. Putting it on the city page, not necessarily Facebook, but on the city page. You can put a link from Facebook to say, here it is, and this is our informational sheet. I think that's something that we could do, but I don't think it would be fair to anybody just to throw it out there and say, choose, do you want to pay more or do you want to keep employees? I don't think that that's necessarily a good way to do it, but I think if you share that. So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second or not?
No.
Okay, that motion dies. Thanks for your work. Appreciate it. Okay. Is there any other new business to come before this committee tonight?
I have one thing, and I probably should have reached out to you to have you put it on the agenda. I don't know. Jeremiah Campana, who has come to several council meetings, was talking with Brent McDaniels, and since Brent was leaving, they sent an email to me. I told him that I would read it to council or to the finance committee to see if we want to pursue it. And he just says, Dear Councilwoman Jackman, Jeremiah Campana here. I hope this message finds you well. I've been very encouraged by growth and momentum. Oh no, part of this got cut off. must be something to welcome neighborhoods, businesses and families. Demands on our budget and staff are growing quickly with this extra responsibility to make sure every tax dollar is used as efficiently and effectively as possible. That's why I'm writing to ask to, and I did not realize part of this got cut off, but Brent McDaniels, who's copied on the email, had expressed interest in bringing this forward at one of his final meetings, but he didn't do that. And since part of it's cut off, I'll just summarize. Jeremiah had talked to Brent about creating a small volunteer Doge committee, 3 qualified citizens to keep their eyes on the budgets, contracts, and expenditures. Their role would be strictly advisory to review public records, ask common sense questions like, do we really need this expense? And offer recommendations to council and the administration. It would not add any staff. Several other Ohio communities, including Lakewood, and again, it got cut off. They supplement the work of their city auditor and the biennial state audit. Those committees have helped identify any conflict or extra expense. No, you serve on the planning committee. He also drafted resolution language if we would like to bring this to council. I told him I would present that. I think my take on it is that council is kind of the Doge committee. And I feel like this would make extra work for someone to provide the paperwork, get them a meeting room and a time. I'm assuming Jim Boyd would probably be interested in being on it. And then I also think, couldn't they come like Cooper has come to this meeting? And like Mr., is it Raymond Anthony or Anthony Raymond?
Raymond Anthony.
He had some of the auditor's reports and the paperwork, and he came to a council meeting and stood up and asked his questions. And I sort of think maybe that would be a better route to take, but I did want to present it. I know extra eyes are always a good thing. So I don't know if anybody'd like to see his paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, just I won't say. On that.
Do you want, instead of making that decision or bring it forth, do you want to forward that to everybody?
Sure, absolutely.
At least to,
I'll just forward to everybody, including the administration,
Yes.
because I think everybody needs to take a look,
Yes.
if you don't mind. Yes, Sue?
Just to concur with that, because if you have a question on something, it's always good to come and talk to the people that are doing it, rather than maybe sometimes it gets lost in the written, well, we'll look at this and now we'll report back to you in a letter form, and it slows down the process. That if they would just appear on it, and you could answer it. I mean, the committee is well versed in what they're doing. They seem to understand it, and they could get those answers right away, rather than things kind of fall through this committee and that one.
Yeah.
I think you guys know enough about it.
I'm sorry, but don't we also have public records requests?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
But, right, Shannon. Another yes.
People read too many negative things on Facebook.
Sometimes
That's where most of the
things
stuff comes
that-
from.
Yeah.
I was jumped the other day, my wife was out eating and somebody came in and says, you guys are useless. And that mayor ought to be called too. It's just one of those things. It just comes out with you, refuse to say anything, talk about it. You just want to say how. And the guy that happened to lose, he says, he should have been kept, you guys should have got rid of him. I thought, we didn't, you guys did.
Sometimes when you're face to face with people, your tone changes a little bit.
Yes.
You try to make it a little more professional, and you think about it a little more, and that's a good thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, we need not to use social media to get our points across to each other.
Well, I think the public is allowed to come to these meetings, all the committee meetings, the council
And we
meetings.
encourage it.
They can, yeah, and they can reach out if he has a question for Kenna, or anyone. They could reach out by email or a phone call or stopping in and get a lot of those questions answered even before the next committee meeting or the council meeting.
But our ex-councilman that lives in Davenport, Iowa, had a whole kinds of stuff the past couple of days on. He knows all the
I
answers.
will forward that, his email. to
Please
everyone.
do, please do. Is there any,
I've heard.
That's what
What's the
computer
thing?
is.
Where are your guys' thoughts?
That would be an F no.
Don't type that. You don't type that. You put that next to kind of messed
Did
up
you see
earlier.
how much that hurt?
My opinion, I just, government is different. And until you are in it and you're working it and you know the ins and outs, it is hard animal for a citizen to grasp and understand the entire process. That's.
And there's more to it than just paying your bill and getting your trash picked up.
More to it than, I don't think you should spend that. Well, we have to. We already entered into contracts. Like, it just, there are certain things that we know the ins and outs that a citizen just doesn't understand until you're on the other side.
It's very complicated.
What about face to face? Because they come and go, oh, you think you know it all. And you're able to explain to them how that process works. And then they walk away with an understanding, not trying to shut anybody out, but to include them.
Yes, yes. Well, and I would much rather they come and ask the questions, come to the meetings, than just get on Facebook and complain. So I'll forward that to everyone.
so although I personally wouldn't be in favor of that myself, because I think we can look and see what Doge was at the national level and how it kind of fizzled out and what did it really solve? I don't know. However, I think it's kind of hard to have somebody that moves to the city and wants to have an interest and take an interest in what we do and then just throw their idea out completely when they want to be involved. I asked him if he would email you, and I don't know that he did, because he said he
emailed me with just that.
Oh, no. He wanted to, he was wanted to make himself available if you needed somebody for one of your committees. So him
You
and
guys all got that email.
Christy Houston also. Well, we got that update. Yeah. But I mean, he said something to me a couple months ago and I said, well, you really need to let the mayor know because he always needs people to fill seats.
Yeah, I mean, the knock on wood, the decent thing is that a lot of people are staying on. And then the one we have filling in, I think it's pretty good planning. Her background, so,
Filling in or
or filling.
taking, that's not her,
See,
okay.
that is-
They just made it sound like it's.
No, filling the vacated seat.
Yeah, she got a lot of smarts.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other new business? So I'm glad you're here, because historically, we've tried not to have a finance meeting or the committee meetings 2 days before we go to council. So historically, we have done our meetings like the Monday in between. And I'm okay with that because a lot of things comes through here that has to go to your office. That gives you a little extra time, but we can't ask you to do a 2-a-day turnaround, right? Nor do I want to, but I want you to agree to that and say you like having that extra time.
As in.
If-
Like the way it normally is and not the way this meeting is.
Right. The way that it normally is, not this meeting. So we have council meetings on the 5th and the 19th of next month. If we do the Monday in between, that would put us at the 9th or the 23rd of the month. You guys are going to meet like when? The 10th. Yeah. And we actually prefer to follow them because they bring some things to us, but that would then put us back to the 23rd of the month, which I don't have a problem with. But
I mean, I think it's 6 1/2 dozen. If you have it on this day, you can't get it to council until this day. If you have it on this day, you can't get it till the next one. Like if you have it on the 23rd, we're not going to be able to get anything until March.
Until March.
If you have it on the 10th, you could get it
The 19th.
The 19th.
the 19th.
I would prefer earlier than later because I've already looked at all my month end reports and it's fresh in my mind earlier in the month than later.
Greg knows what I prefer.
you'd prefer to do all 3 meetings in a row, but not everybody prefers that.
I think it is nice.
Has it been any different for you guys? Other like meetings don't run into the next one or anything?
Oh, I don't
It's been-
care.
It's I think it's worked out well with service and safety.
Well, I'll say this. If we do that, if you have things that are gonna come to council, there ought to be documentation when you bring it to the finance at the same meeting. That we ought to be able to, you ought to be here to address that and have documentation, right? If we're on different days, then you have stuff that can come to us, we can see it and have time to digest that a little bit, than just have it drop in our laps, because you talked about it half an hour ago, right? And I think we should be given that time, honestly. So if you want to continue on with this, I'm not completely opposed to it. However, that would be my request to you guys as
It's just where the
chairman.
Thursdays fall and then there's holidays and all that crap in there. So for February, I think it's just fine. Keep it on the 10th like everybody else.
Okay. We'll do February 10th at 6:30. Anything else? Hearing none, let's adjourn this meeting at something like 7:37 PM.